I'm very intentional at making sure everybody feels heard and understood. And I feel like it helps me put all the pieces together for the business operationally, and it helps drive vision and goals when I know where everybody stands in the business as well.
Well, I think that's one of the hardest things to figure out as a business owner, because you have to wear all the hats. But the hardest thing to figure out is like what you're great at, and just spend time on that one thing.
Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners, Evan Ritchey and Cameron Bawden, share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of two of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control, stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
Welcome to the Premium Mindset. Today we're talking about Evan and the one thing he does exceptionally well, and that is how to improve a culture. I think one of my favorite parts about doing this podcast is the fact that we get asked a ton of questions from other business owners. And when I'm talking to a lot of business owners and we're trying to figure out like not what's wrong in their company, but maybe what's missing, because everyone that calls us is basically like, hey, I've been in business for 5 years now. We're doing this much revenue, but I just can't. Most of the time they talk about their culture. Like that's what it comes down to. And I always have a hard time, like I understand what's going on, but I have a hard time like preaching to them the importance of it, because I'm not that guy that they're missing. And that's why I talk about you more times than not. And you're probably going to think I'm lying to you right now. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I talk about my buddy Evan and how important it is to have somebody that is going to take the time to make them feel like, I think the best way to put it is a person, because money can't do it. And I know, because that was me. I tell the story in 2015, horrible turnover, go to Dutch Brothers, see this girl. She turns me down for basically she's making minimum wage at Dutch Brothers, right? And selfishly, I was like, so you're telling me I can just have a great culture and not have to pay more hourly? Because at that time we were paying more hourly than anyone else, right? Because we were trying to make up for our crappy culture. For the next, that was 2015, 2016, we made that change. You came on just 2 years ago. So I can honestly say from 2016 to 2022, so almost 6 years, I was paying for good culture, and that improved. Like that helps. Yeah. If someone was like, well, how much does it help? I would say 20 to 30%. Like it helps 20 to 30%. But the past 2 years, as I've brought you into Green Mango, and what I've seen, the flips, just that switch flip, is that we're still doing all the things I was with the money, but you've just taken the time to meet with people and understand, just kind of like what we just did with one of our managers, like let him vent and just get out. Like, and he talked about a lot of different things right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. In the past, I'm only doing that with him because, you know, I still work directly with him. He's C-suite, but I don't do that with all the managers, and you've come in and you've done that, and it's just made all the difference.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start a business, they say, you know, whether it's in an industry that they're from, they're always like, I'm not going to do business that way. Like, I'm going to make sure that how my business is ran is this way. But I feel like a key component they leave out is, and it's kind of what I was talking to you the other day about, is the importance of remembering that in leadership, and it's been so clear, and that's what I've like hated watching you get burned. Like, I remember you gifted a guy a boat, but you were kind of absent. You were kind of absent from his life in terms of the manager-employee relationship. But I just remember he was just going south with his attitude, and you just kind of threw it in there between me and you behind closed doors. You're like, dude, I gave this guy a boat. I'm like, dang. So even that, it's not good enough for like, not necessarily to buy loyalty because you had a lot of tenure with him. I just think he created such a contrast of what he did have with you and what he didn't have anymore. But I feel like a lot of business leaders and even in management forget that people are seldom, it's that old cliche that they're not going to remember the little mantras. They're not going to remember little things that you have them do. They're only going to remember how you made them feel. And I feel like for me, I had so many poor experiences at different jobs that one of my top 3 initiatives was that I want to listen to people. Because I want to be listened to. I think that's what it comes down to, is like, I want to be, you know what I mean? Like, as, new relationship, fiance. I just said, hey, like, pay close attention, because like generally what I'm doing for you, I hope that you'll do for me. Like, in a small way. I don't hold a grudge if nothing's done in return, but because I hope people would listen to me if I ever have an idea. Like, when somebody has an idea, they can call me.
Yeah.
This happened last night, 7:00. One of Coconut's Porter.
I was going to say PM, friend, but you said 7 last night.
No, 7 p.m.
Okay.
Porter, your boy Porter.
You can tell the story.
Yeah, I think that's super funny. Okay, just to not get on a tangent real quick. Cameron tries so hard to stay connected and do little blurps. And if anything, I think you said it best, that a lot of these birthday and anniversary videos are to like highlight how well the manager knows their people. And you sent a video to Porter for his anniversary saying, hey bro, like, I appreciate how hard you work, and I appreciate you just showing up every day. 2 years at Coconut, man, like, phenomenal job. Like, we just really appreciate you. You sent it to him. And then like 45 minutes later, an hour later, after he gets it, you show up. And in his mind, he's like, oh, wow, he's even showing up. Like, he's going to say happy anniversary. But you walk up to him for something else, and you're like, hey, bro, what's your name? And he was like,
that's why
he was like, Porter. He's like, this is you, right? In the video. So your efforts
I want you to share that, because it's like, we're trying, man. We're out here trying.
We are trying. But 7 p.m. last night, like, I literally was actually pulling up in the driveway coming home. And he said, hey, do you have a second? I'm like, sure.
Porter. Okay, Porter said this.
And like, again, a lot of people check out. Like, I genuinely, if somebody has something to say or needs to talk, like, I'll pick up that call. I had an employee here call me at midnight. And she butt dialed me. But like, she was sick, and she butt dialed me at midnight, and I rolled out of bed, like, saw she was calling, like, stood up, and I was like, hey, you okay? And I just hear like throwing up in the background. But I'm like, oh gosh, like, okay.
Sounds like you're good.
Yeah, probably not okay. But so Porter's like, dude, I got this idea for marketing, and I'm not in marketing, but hear me out. And so now I have a one-on-one with him tomorrow to kind of complete the idea. But very simply wrapped up is, I am very intentional. And I'm learning that you can't really do this if your intentions aren't good. But I'm very intentional at making sure everybody feels heard and understood. And I feel like it helps me put all the pieces together for the business operationally. And it helps drive vision and goals when I know where everybody stands in the business as well.
Well, I think that's one of the hardest things to figure out as a business owner, because you have to wear all the hats. But the hardest thing to figure out is like what you're great at, and just spend time on that one thing.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I gave up this, and like, I'd get super frustrated, because it's like, why won't these people come talk to me about their problems? I'm checking the boxes with them, this, and this, but I'm not taking the extra mile.
You're sitting down, you're like, tell me how you feel.
Tell me, boy. You're a jerk, man. Okay, screw you. No, but like, as soon as I just let it go of like, hey, I'm not great at letting people just vent for me for hours and hours, if that's what it takes. And that's sometimes what it takes. I'm going to find someone that can. As soon as you can make that switch as a business owner, like, you will be successful. And maybe you are the gossipy type, right? I consider you that. And not gossipy, but like, I don't know, how would you frame it? The guy that loves conversation and is willing to sit there for literally hours and hours. I can't think of anything worse. Maybe you're that guy, and you need a systems and operations guy. Like, go find that guy. And as soon as you can put all the pieces together in the puzzle.
I can't let you label me as the gossipy guy.
I know. That's why I gave you a chance for you to say anything. So you're the gossipy guy.
I'm a soundboard for people.
You're a soundboard. Here's the thing. People will tell me, I had a great culture at the beginning, and now it's not so great anymore. And then when you start to ask questions, they're no longer on the truck. They're no longer going to jobs with people. They're no longer, working the late hours. They're leaving at 4:00. They're not working Fridays. They're, all these things. And you say, well, it's because you used to spend time with the people.
Yeah.
You used to be on the truck, on the way to the job site, and you have nothing to talk about except for what they're doing this weekend, how their kids are doing, how their wife's doing, like all those things. And so you need to figure out. And if you're not that guy, what I'd say is it's okay. Just, you got to have that guy in your organization. I think it's one of the most important positions in your company is to have someone that's like the culture guy.
Right.
Or girl.
I was telling Joe, and I feel like I could share
right,
this.
Lexi?
I was telling Joe, he was just like, I don't connect as well to my field managers as Gustavo does to his. But I'm getting things done, and I'm bringing order where there hasn't previously been order. And I said, Joe, like, you just need to be okay with that. Not that age is really that big of a deal, but there's quite a bit of an age gap between you and your field managers. And, you don't have to be that parent that tries to be like, hey, I'm cool. Like, let's go out and do that. Like, just find another field manager that is at the core of like who those guys all go to. Give him your budget for meals and allocation and say, hey man, can you make sure to get out with these guys every Friday? Could you let me know? Like, and then give me the feeler if like you think I could come to one of those things or not, but give him the reins to hold the employee appreciation, and it's all the same. Speaking of Joe, just walking by, this guy's 10 feet behind.
I love that because my first thought, even when you just said is like, oh, he shouldn't be the manager though. It's like, no, you can have your hype man within your organization and just make sure he has your loyalty and make sure he has your back at all expense. And then Joe still needs to, with that one guy, like, be that guy to him, wherever he like lacks, he get out of his shell and like help him see that he's got that loyalty there.
Yeah. And what I'd say, just to like not let you sell yourself too short, is when I came into Green Mango, you had probably 6+ managers that have been here 4+ years. So it wasn't that you couldn't get the tenure out of them, it was the buy-in. And that is where I felt like it lacked, is that I would come and just start asking very simple questions like, hey, what do you do all day? And the people started being like, well, what's this? Like, I get my paycheck. I just do my thing. Like, what is this? And they'd be even texting you like, what's going on? And I'm just like, well, hey, hold on. Everything's fine. I just want to know like what you're up to all day. Let's start meeting one-on-one every week and account for what you're doing. And so it's not necessarily like, that's why I say, like, I joke that I can't be labeled a gossip person, is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And care needed to be introduced so that I could then reinforce what our standards and what the vision was, so that when I sit down with people, I just remember the first month was like venting on everything in the past. And it was obnoxious because they're like, Cameron ran this competition 3 years ago and I should have won $100, but like I didn't ever get paid. I'm like, dude, it's been 2-3 years. It would just be silly stuff like that where it's like, and I don't mean to say silly, I just mean to say that like people really hold on to these things of unfulfilled promises from managers. And I felt like if I could listen to them, restore what had been previously wronged, and then say, here's the clean slate. We're close now. We're hanging out. Cameron's saying we got to change this. Cameron's saying that we have to change the pay. Cameron's saying we have to change the standards and guys now have to go out to 18 stops per day instead of 13. The buy-in was there, met with the pay and met with the rapport. And that's what I think made all the difference, is that people now knew that it wasn't just money backing it up. There was a face to you again. And it was like, hey, I'm Team Cameron. This is what we're doing. This is the direction we need to go. Are you good with all your frustrations? You feel restored? Yeah, I feel restored. Okay, cool. Let's get to work. And then what was cool is that probably over 9 months, all the managers quit. And I say that's cool because you are now getting better ROI on dollars spent because the buy-in was there, and the managers at some point just checked out and said, you know what? Cameron doesn't check in on me, even though you're probably looking at that. Like, trust me, if you're out there running your own business and you're pretending that you, you don't micromanage, or you don't really hold your guys accountable, and that's like good, effective leadership. It can be, but it also was a crutch here, is that a lot of the guys when I came in were just like, I do this, this, and this. Like, what's it to you?
Yeah.
I said, okay, cool. We're going to meet every Tuesday, and I want to have you account for what you did in the previous week.
Yeah.
And then they started quitting because the attention was actually being focused on their actual production. And we were able to replace them with people that were like, dude, they checked out. I never see them after 1 o'clock. And now these guys are coming in, firing on all cylinders. And the ROI for what you're still choosing to spend, which is top dollar, is now double because they actually are focused on daily incremental goals and working together as a team. I think it's important for people to understand that if you are not the guy and you don't have the resources to deploy someone into doing that, just being aware enough to tell people like, hey, I'm not the best at being approachable, and I know I'm not the best listener. However, if you have needs that you feel are not being met, or if you feel like there is something that I could do better, I promise you I am all ears. How that's received, I don't know.
But even if you were in this organization of 3 people, you don't believe there's one guy on that team that you could say, hey, I need you to step up for this. Maybe give him some kind of incentive plan that if he can help with culture and fill that gap, he can't do that?
Yeah, I think they can. I want leaders to know that just being aware that you are not the person that connects well with everyone, people will often have more understanding and respect for the situation. And if you just create for them a process for them to be able to relay what they need, I don't think that's as much of an issue. I guess sometimes I'm really frustrated and you just Venmo me $500 and I'm like, I'm good. So sometimes it just works that way. He doesn't have to call and listen. I don't have to go and hang out. I'm just like, dude, I'm really struggling, and I just get a little Venmo from you. And I'm like, you know what? That's how Cameron says I love you. So I'll take that too.
Here's my thing though too, and this is what frustrates me with business owners that are like complaining and they're already in the thick of it, is that if you know that's what needs to be done, even if you suck at it, like go figure it out.
Right.
And that's what's frustrating too. So if there's not someone on your team that can't help you out, and that's what's like, you've had multiple people tell you like, hey, your culture was good, now it's not. You were on the truck, like spending time with people, now you're not. Like, go get back on that truck with them. Or maybe not like full time, but like figure out how you can get back in that truck and like watch the difference again.
Or just try to find a me.
Or just try and recruit Evan, man. He's open for business.
No,
DM him.
No, don't do that. No.
DM him. He's taking on clients, right?
No.
I'm
all in. Green Mango and coconut. Just being self-aware. Just remember that the impact of your presence can be for the positive or the negative. And I think it's so funny, almost ironic, that I just got out of that meeting with 2 people arguing. It closed out well. And I thought it was just you in there because Cole left. So I kind of just walked in like a little bit more like, and even this person who kind of has a history of not really knowing that they're wearing their emotions on their face was like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, dude, who are you to tell me what's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you, man?
What's wrong with you, dude? Like, but it's so important to remember that like people are watching and they're paying attention to your presence.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. I walk in there, I'm like, who? He's like, whoa, what's wrong with you? I'm like, okay.
I ask the questions around here.
Okay. You're usually the one walking in like this, and I'm saying, hey, Jay, or hey, what's going on? Or after the meeting, just saying, hey, you looked a little down today. How can I help? Your presence is everything, and people will never forget how you made them feel.
And you're high on that lately, which I love, but you're really high on that.
It's just like I'm obsessed with the interactive portion where I have a migraine right now. And I can go crawl into a ball and just sit in a dark room, and that's where I'd be happy. But I have a few
I want to be miserable here with you.
No, I have a few more meetings, and I need to get these things done. And how I show up, I can make the choice to show up. How you show up at home after a long day, you can give your kids and your fiance and your wife or whoever a little bit more energy and say, today was a rough day, but like, I got you, kids. Like, they're not going to forget how you made them feel. You have the choice every day to show up or not show up. You can deliver some of the worst news and still allow people to feel respected. And you can deliver some of the best news and people don't feel respected because of your demeanor and how you're making them feel, or kind of making them feel like they're pawns and they're stepping stools to get to where you want to go. That's why after, it was said today, like, let's go hit this revenue goal, I said, oh, pizza party. It's like, because people laugh, because it's like sometimes we don't bridge the gap between, hey guys, let's do this and let's keep hitting incremental goals. And then people are like, yeah. And then when I said pizza party, everyone kind of laughed because it's like this, it was just being shared as if like, hey guys, go work. Let's go get more and more and more. It's like, that's not how people work. Mm-hmm. Is that they want to feel like, what is my connection to that thing you just said, and what I'm going to do and how you make them feel is everything.
So what do you suggest for those people? I threw out the lake because I could feel that too.
Yeah. That was
perfect. But like, how do you think we should get their buy-in to want, because like whether we hit that or not, they get paid, right?
Sean Acor has a book called The Happiness Advantage where he talks about he says, I think it's a Harvard study where they said that the more businesses and leaders put happiness on the other side of a goal, the more like, I don't know if the right adjective or how to describe it, but the more people feel at dissonance with their job and what they get paid, because they accomplish milestones and then they say, hey guys, this is great. Let's go do this. Like, I think you should say, hey guys, let's just go to a lake. I think we would hit the goal by just saying in the next 2 weeks, I want us, all the managers, to go to the lake. I appreciate you guys. Back-to-back months, we've hit revenue goals that we haven't hit before.
I love that.
Let's just go. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if we constantly move, this cool thing is on the other side of this bigger thing, I think people do the math in their head and they're like, that's why I say pizza party, because that's the ultimate corporate joke that, hey guys, we hit $500 million this year. Here's pizza for everyone. It's like, I'm doing the math here. CEO is showing up in a, Bugatti and, whatever. I'm speaking hypothetically, but I think people want to feel the appreciation prior to not even the ask, but I think they just want to feel appreciated regardless. And the byproduct of people feeling appreciated is, in my opinion, it's milestones.
Oh,